Hey, before you watch this thing, hit subscribe, would you? Quit it with the, what is it? Hold on, let me look it up. This is going to be worth it. Quit it with the avoidant attachment style. Just hit it. Don't you want me to feel good? Subscribe. Hi guys, Blocks Podcast, Neal Brennan. Guest today is a great comic who's got three He's got, sorry.
I'm trying.
He's got 3 YouTube specials. He's got 3 Netflix specials on YouTube. And he had some hit Tonight Show appearances. I'm making fun of him because we talked about whatever. Not making fun of him. I'm making fun of the whole idea of show business now.
Here's some good sleep advice. If you have trouble sleeping, count backwards from 500. I don't know if you've ever heard that. That focuses you on something so you're not going crazy, but it's boring enough that you'll fall asleep. It works if it works. If it doesn't work, it's like a countdown to homicidal breakdown. You start counting, get into the 20s, you're like, I don't think this is gonna work out for me, you know? Very unlikely you're gonna be like, 3, 2, 1. Oh my God, I'm out. Oh.
Joe List, ladies and gentlemen. Joe List, a fucking great comic, and he's here to talk with us today.
Yeah, thanks very much. I do have a half hour on Netflix. I did get that.
Oh, great.
And then nothing else.
They ghosted you?
I really thought it was going to be something. But
was it especially good, your half hour?
I thought it was pretty good. I did season 2 of the Standups, which season 1 is
was the Bargatze year?
That's where Bargatze, yeah, exactly. I was about to mention it.
Known as the Bargatze year?
Yeah, and he got this, I've told this story before, but like he got the first spot on there and he just blew up. He was doing very well before, and then he called me and was like, whatever you do, fight for the first spot because that's what everyone watches. Yeah. And then we fought for it and I got it, and I was like, this is great, dude, here we go. And Nate was like, just buy a house now, like you gotta
literally
put a down payment. And I was like, here we go. And season 2, just nobody watched
Showbiz. Yeah,
none of us blew up.
I have my 3 specials, and then I have a half hour on the Comedians of the World, which I was in the first slot.
Yeah,
in America, and more people watched it than 3 mics, but like it just didn't. Whatever you think is going to happen, it never happens twice the same way.
Right. No, my whole career has been things that I think are going to blow up. Like I did Last Comic Standing.
Please welcome Joe List.
And then I got edited off, and then I did it again and made it to the finals.
My buddy the other day, I was confiding in him. I was like, man, I'm really self-conscious about my teeth. Then he looked at him and he was like, dude, all you need is some Crest whitening strips. I was like, thanks, man. I'm actually self-conscious that they're crooked, but... What the hell? Let's throw yellow in there.
Like, we're not cutting you this time. And I was like, here we go. But nobody watched that season. And I did Letterman. I thought that was going to be something.
Great job, Joe. Thank you very much. Good to have you with us. Thank you for being here.
Rogan. Everyone was like, Rogan is the thing.
This is the one.
And then I have known in some circles as like the worst Rogan in history.
In some circles. By that he means the comments.
Yes, exactly.
The things that surprise me about you is I don't know why you being married surprises me. Whenever I watched your stand-up and you're like, I'm married, I was like, I never picture, I don't know. I don't know why.
Is it the looks, the teeth, the forehead?
No, go on. We'll get there. That's what it is. The jacket. No, I don't know. I don't know why. Because it's not like you're too anything for marriage. It just seems like you would have been against it somehow. feel like most comics are constitutionally against marriage in some ways.
No, I'm a romantic. I love marriage.
My wife's the best. I love my wife. I love women. I have a wife who's a woman, and I have a friend who's a woman. I'm an ally, you know.
I like the idea of it. To me, it's like Forrest Gump when he invests in Apple and he says.
And so then I got a call from him saying we don't have to worry about money no more, and I said, that's good. One less thing.
I watched that movie a lot of times.
Great.
He said, great, one less thing. That's how I feel. You get a wife and you're like, perfect, done.
Great.
I'm with you, you're with me, and I don't have to worry
ignore
about...
me, I'll ignore you.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about it.
See you at the hospital in 40 years.
You want to fuck? It's just, we're together.
All right, great. I could do more. We have enough. The good news is we have enough blocks here for a great full episode.
Okay, great.
Let's just get right into it. A lot of people do some grab ass up front. No, not you.
Great.
OCD.
Yes.
Hit me.
I got OCD. Well, you'll not like. Yeah, I have OCD like manifests in different ways. My wife does a bit about this. She's a comedian also.
Joe has OCD, which is weird because his dick is a mess.
About how like I'm not like I don't clean everything. I have no germ thing.
Yeah.
And people think that
Are you
about
doing
me.
pull-ups like Normand?
I have to do 30 pull-ups on a scaffolding.
That's funny.
I did them earlier.
No pull-ups. I mean, I do a lot of push-ups though. I do feel like
really?
I'll be watching TV or something like that and be like, "You're a piece of shit. Go do some push-ups and stuff." I'm always moving around. I can't sit still.
Do you have the watch that tells you to do it, or you just do it?
No watch.
Because I got the watch that's like you got to move, and then I do. Apparently, 15 squats are as good as running for an hour or something.
Really?
One of these new stats where they said standing is how sitting is like smoking, and then they said you got to stand, and then the new stat a couple weeks ago was like standing's no good. Like there's just a constant stream of like, what are you doing? Don't know. Fuck you. Don't do that.
No, it's too much. My whole algorithm is like, if you eat a banana a day, you'll never die.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh shit, I gotta get a banana.
Yeah.
Stat. I do a lot of squats, but yeah, my OCD is like I have a lot of tics. Like I'll start like talking one-on-one like this. After a while, I'll start blinking like this, and it's really
What does it
frustrating.
mean when you blink like that?
It gets worse if I'm tired or if I'm stressed, and I spend a lot of time thinking about it consciously. I'm like, don't blink. They're gonna see you blinking, you psycho. My first TV spot I did was live at Gotham on Comedy Central in like 2008. Another thing that I thought like,
This is the
there
one.
it is.
Yep.
There it was.
It's way back. Hello lawyer. I gotta get a divorce. It's gonna be so much pussy coming through here.
I was like, this is gonna be huge. Forget about it. But anyways, yeah, I'm like, if you watch that set, I'm like blinking the whole time. I'm doing this weird thing. It's really horrible. And I'm also, you can't see, but I'm flexing my left arm constantly when I'm particularly stressed or nervous or anxious. Sometimes it just does it. And now my elbow's all like fucked up. So I have these like compulsatory. I'm not as smart as I look.
Sure.
Compulsive tics that are always happening all the time, and then I get Emperor's Clouds tea from Starbucks, and I can't oversteep. I have to take the tea out.
What happens
away.
if you oversteep? You got to throw it away.
I throw it away and get a new one.
Why? It doesn't taste right, or it's just like it's unclean, or one of those things.
No, I just feel like it's oversteeped and tastes weird, and it's too caffeinated. It's like a real weird thing I have like that. I eat like the same 6 meals every day. Not 6 meals a day. 6 meals in general, total.
I don't. You know what? I have no. I
that
don't.
crazy.
I'm like that. I don't. I'm not mad at that.
I appreciate that.
Like I eat salad pretty much every day for lunch. Is that compulsive? I don't know. I just started eating salad in 1999 and was like, this is better than anything else I can eat.
That's how I feel. It's like it works. I like this.
I like it.
I like this. It's easy.
I'm sorry, Earth. I like this.
That's how I feel. I go. That tastes good. I like it. It's easy, and I get stuck in the same kind of thing, sort of, and doing that thing. And I have weird tics. I've gotten much better with all these things, all these blocks. But sometimes too, if I think about something like dying or somebody dying, I have to like. This is like really. It's like I never even talk about this, but like when I'm like driving, if I think about crashing, there's like the old thing like knock on wood. Mm-hmm. But there's no wood, so I would like somehow this started when I was a kid. I would knock on my head as like a joke. It's like an old joke, like knock on wood. I got a wooden head.
I'm stupid. Yeah.
And then I would knock on like my crotch, like hey, wood boner.
I love it.
And then I would do the dashboard just because people would do this. So often, if I'm driving, I'll do these 3.
And you've had 2 crashes as a result of all
things in a row, yeah. But I'll do that, and then I'll try to quietly do it because I'm like embarrassed by it, so I don't want anyone to see. Same with the blinking.
God damn it, that's great.
Yeah, it's really it's
and
crazy.
what the thing I'm always curious about is what happens if you don't. Because I was thinking about the food thing. Like if I'm on the road and like a lot of most places on the road they don't have salad.
Right.
Or they have salad that's just got eggs and ham and all kinds of garbage on it.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't get like crazy but it's worse. Is there a craziness that would ensue if you didn't knock on wood And
now I can kind of sort of breathe through it or talk to myself and be like, that's really crazy. It doesn't matter if you do that. I've gotten a lot better, but it would just make me feel really uncomfortable. And I'll have things where I'm like, I have to go step on this crack or this spot. Like if it's like a tiled floor sometimes, like this is kind of like where it's squares, I have to step perfectly in the middle of the 4 corners meeting.
If you don't, what happens?
I just feel fucked up. So sometimes I'll go back and do it, or it causes my other tics to be worse. Or I think like something bad's going to happen if I don't do that.
Has anything bad happened? What do you think? What's happened in your life that falls into that category?
I don't know.
Other than the Netflix not calling you.
I haven't gotten a Netflix hour. It's crazy. By the way, I have another special in the can that I think this could be the one. This is going.
Call it. This is the one.
Straight to the top, baby. I don't know. Nothing horrible has happened. I'm very fortunate. I mean, nothing horrible has happened in my life. I actually have very little death, and I've been quite successful.
I always think about that where when old people go like, when I look back, if they ask a 50-year-old what they think of pictures of when they were 30, they're like, I was so good looking and I was so convinced I was ugly.
Right.
Like, this is the youngest we're ever going to be. This is probably the best looking we're ever going to be. This is the healthiest, but it's so hard to appreciate.
I tell my wife that all the time because she's worried about being old. And I'm like, you're going to actually be old at some point.
Yeah.
She's 69. So, folks.
Knock on the bing.
But no, I was just talking to my buddy, my best friend was talking about this, and he's like overweight now. And he's like, I remember thinking I was overweight in 2010 and I hated myself. And looking back, I should have just enjoyed myself.
Yep.
And he said the same thing. He's like, I should just be happy with the weight I'm at now.
Yeah, it's only going to get worse.
I'll be 400 pounds in 10 years. So yeah, I mean, and these are things that have helped me like get better, where I'm like, oh, I'm doing actually quite well, and someday I will be dead. And I do a lot of those meditations and stuff like that.
Where you meditate over corpses?
Well,
like the monks do.
I do like walking in cemeteries when I'm on the road and think I have this thought of like everybody in here would kill to switch places with me, which is quite helpful. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's not like it's not even like I actually think something bad will happen. It's a literal compulsion of like, I have to go do that now. I got to go, and I have this like, I feel like I have to piss before I go to bed. And so I don't even have to go. Like I went 20 minutes ago, but I'll I'll literally stand over the toilet for like
scream at your dick
10 minutes and I squish it. I put it on my hand and I try to smash it out. But yeah, like things like that. It's all like kind of little things like that, but I don't have the hand washing and stuff. And things do bother me if they're like askew and I like the volume on an even number, stuff like that. That just makes my fucking
the volume.
brain. Yeah.
Interesting.
I like an even number.
If you're in a hotel room, if you can't see that number, if it's just volume and it's one of those things where you don't see the thing, do you have to settle on a specific sound or do you go like, this feels even?
Yeah, I think I gotta go by feel. I'm like, that's about right. That feels ish.
Oh, that's fucking
No,
hard.
it's just the digit number thing. I don't know. It's it's funky. I got some fucking.
Are you paying a price for it? Meaning, is it like hurting your life, or is it just kind of like it's stupid?
I have moments where it really bothers me. I mean, like the main thing now that drives me crazy is like the blinking and the flexing it, because like I'll literally start to have like my fucking elbow hurts because I'm constantly doing that, or with the blinking, I just cannot stop, particularly when I'm tired or late or stressful. And I'll wait for the person I'm talking to look away and be like, and I feel like it's going to clear my head, and it keeps happening. When I'm driving too. Driving stresses me out because I feel like I could fucking die at any second.
You could.
Yeah, it's quite dangerous.
That's the great thing about driving. Incredibly dangerous. 30,000 people a year die. 35,000.
It's like the most underratedly dangerous thing. Like all these sharks are coming north with climate change and everything, and I'm a big ocean guy. I love to swim, and people are like, oh, you're crazy. And I'm like, it's like, I don't know what the numbers, like 800 times more likely to die in a car wreck than a shark.
Who's getting attacked by sharks? I mean,
people.
I've never known. Have you known anyone?
No.
You ever known anyone who's seen a shark that could attack them?
No.
It's just a phobia.
Yeah.
It's not anything. Without Jaws, you wouldn't even think about it.
I mean, it happens more now, though. But I think that's also
It's
wet.
happened like
It's a lot of wetsuits, I think, too, because they're all black. They look like seals.
a lot of these wetsuits. I think they're asking for it. You're blaming the victim. What was he wearing? Guys, what do you know me for other than mental health? A comedian who focuses on mental health. That's what ChatGPT and the new one, DeepSeek, says. But I'm looking for a bidet. I'm always talking about bidets. It's a lifestyle I've lived by 20 years now. One of the best things I've ever done for my personal life, ever. Literally ever. Better than the journaling, if you can believe it. I used to use the name brand, and now, since I've been involved in Tushy the last couple of years, I received it. I installed it. As I've said before, it's easy to do to install, but it's hard enough that you feel like you did something. You feel like a man. You feel a little puffed up. You'll honk at people that day. You'll give them the finger, that type of thing. You'll feel full of yourself because you're a real man. I bought one for, I think this is my 5th. I bought for my girl. She wants one as well. So, it's all happening. Tushy gently removes 99% of bacteria while protecting your natural skin barrier thanks to one natural ingredient, fresh water. Tushy has 2 new ultra sleek bidet seats, Wave and Oasis with front and rear wash to clean all those hard to reach places. There's still time to get your ass right for life. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use code NEAL at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code Neal. HelloTushy.com, promo code Neal. Maybe you throw in a travel one while you're doing it, because you're gonna travel. Goodbye. Hey, what have you done to get ready for a first date? What are you thinking about leading up to it? Maybe you get a new haircut, you clean your car, maybe you're nervous about doing something wrong. Non-negotiables before a first date for me, even though I don't date anymore because I got a lady, but every day's a date with me. Deodorant, guys, is what I'm trying to talk about. Mando, more specifically. I use and have used the deodorant. It's great. When I stopped using it, I went a little sour. Every part of your body for Mando. All the areas, feet, belly, stomach, butt, neck, everything. Everything. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Choose from a variety of fresh scents like bourbon leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, my guy, or Pro Sport. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, which I use all the time, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code that equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code NEAL at shopmando.com. shopmando.com, shopmando.com, promo code Neal. Do it. It's just a great deodorant. It's a great deodorant. Bye. General anxiety, general anxiety disorder.
Old Gadaroo, yeah. Yeah.
Since when?
Probably since I was a kid. I mean, I grew up, I'm 42, so like in the 80s and 90s, there just wasn't, I know it's like a cliche, but there just wasn't really a thing of like, here's what you have.
Yep.
And I've always been like a very nervous guy. My parents are horrible anxiety, which now when I hang out, now that I'm more aware and conscious of things, I hang out with my family and I'm like, oh, I'm like a fucking miracle.
On the low
insane.
end.
Yeah. Like my mother won't go over bridges. She doesn't like crowds. She doesn't
How would
drive
she
at night.
explain it? Because that was the other thing is because we didn't know what it was, you would looking back, I go, oh, they were just anxious. They had anxiety. It was just like, I don't like it.
Right. Yeah. No, it's exactly. And I never even heard the word anxious or anything like that. It was like nervous or scared, or you were like a pussy.
Yeah.
You were like a wuss or a wimp, or you needed to grow up.
Your mother was a known pussy.
Yeah.
In
She was
the house.
a big pussy and a cunt, ironically. Just kidding.
Hey,
you might hear this.
Hey.
She's very sweet. Oh. Yeah. So, I mean, when I was a kid, I was always very, very nervous. I think a lot of it goes back. I didn't go to preschool. I have no idea why. My parents don't explain why. I went to no preschool, which I can't even find another person that didn't go to preschool.
I may not have gone to preschool. Was kindergarten preschool?
Kindergarten is kindergarten. That's when you're 5. Like everyone had gone
Joe,
to preschool.
I have some good news for you. never went to preschool.
All right.
3 Netflix specials.
We should be friends.
In a half hour.
We should be friends.
We are now.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I just went and everybody had known each other. And my family also, they were always together. Like my mother has 4 siblings in the extended family. So we were always socializing together, but my family's never made friends with like people in the town or like, oh, let's go talk to this person. Yeah. They're like they're nervous people.
No play dates. No,
none of that. So when I went to school and my mother was leaving, I had never just been left anywhere before. And then everybody, I remember walking in and maybe we were late a little bit and everybody was talking and it was that sound of everyone talking. And I remember just being like, I don't think I had an identical experience. I remember it. And I remember thinking, I can't believe how big these people's personalities are. Right.
I couldn't believe it. One guy was talking about Battlestar Galactica. Another guy was talking about Star Wars. And I think somebody else was talking about Star Trek. And I was like, I haven't seen any of this.
Yeah.
And they all seemed to have fully formed personas.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
And it was like, I don't even see it as that. I'm not a pussy like you, so I don't see it as traumatic.
Huh?
No, but I don't remember it. It didn't give me anxiety, but I remember it being like very memorable.
Yeah, no, I was like crying. I remember like sobbing and being like, don't leave me. Yeah, this is crazy. It just felt insane for somebody to leave me with these people that I didn't know. I didn't understand it.
It is very strange.
Yeah, it was creepy to me. And of course, I got good at making friends. I've always been very good at making friends, but still like nervous around strangers sometimes, unless I have like people I already know around.
Do you like
me.
Parties?
I do like parties. It depends on the party. I like throwing my own party. I like parties with comedians or people I know.
Yeah. You do like throwing a party?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, more of a hang. Party's weird. It depends on what you mean by party. But like everyone hanging out, bullshitting, telling comedy stories or stories and stuff and talking.
So
about
podcasts.
Things. Yeah, I like podcasts. Or we're watching the game or whatever. But like a party, like when I go to like, just for laughs and it's like we're having a rap party, everyone's dressed and standing with drinks and you're talking, that stuff makes me crazy.
Like anxious
I can't wait for
or?
this. Yeah, anxious. I can't wait for this. I like being with people I'm already connected with. I feel like that lost kid. I need someone to like vouch for me. Like, oh yeah, dude, he likes me. If it's just me and anyone that's seems to be like businessy and not a comedian, I just feel like
this is never gonna work.
They're never gonna. I feel that with women too. I'm like, if they see me do comedy, I could do it, but if not, they're just gonna be like, "Wow, this guy sucks. I'll just get a different."
Yeah, why would I? why would I put up with this?
Yeah, exactly. Which, oh boy.
And how does the anxiety? Do you take anything?
I just started taking Zoloft again for the first time in a long time, like maybe like 8 months ago, a very small dosage, because I would go to these really dark places where I'm like, life is fucking meaningless and we're going to die. That's crazy. And like really get stuck on.
And you think it was a manifestation of anxiety?
Yeah, that and the OCD too. I got really frustrated. I was trying to get rid of these tics, which it hasn't worked for that. But I was on Paxil years ago for a while, and eventually I got off of that because I didn't want to be on it anymore. And I came a really long way with all this, with meditation and sobriety and exercise and all that, and therapy. And then I still would go into these like weird places where I'm like, I want to fucking kill myself, and I'm depressed, and just briefly, but more anxiety. It was more like I'd get sad that I was anxious, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not clinically depressed. I talked to a psychiatrist. She's like, you're not diagnosably depressed, but you're anxious and have OCD.
It's fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
Because if you're, as you said, diet, or you didn't say diet, exercise, meditation, medication, so there was another one.
Therapy.
Sobriety. And so there's 2 hours a day or an hour and a half a day. And to still have it, it's like, yo, motherfucker, I'm doing all the stuff I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
How is this still, that it would make you like sort of lose it a little bit, I think.
Yeah, that's what's frustrating. And but then I have to like, I got to compare myself to where I was, because we always do that thing of like you compare yourself to what you want yourself to be. But then I look back and I'm like, oh, I used to like have daily fucking panic attacks and not be able to do anything, or I wouldn't be able to create things because I was too depressed or anxious or whatever. And now I'm quite prolific and successful. So I've come a long way and I have healthy relationships and all that stuff. And now I have a kid, and which is it was just a result of getting over a lot of my anxiety and stuff like that. It's like,
do you think,
I will live.
Was there the kid was a result of getting healthier? Meaning, did you wait?
Yeah, definitely, because I always thought, a big part of it too is like psychologically, because of the way I was raised, the way my family always talked and still does, is like they sort of presented. Maybe you can relate to this. I don't know, but like
your family's kind of in the movie you made with Louis, right?
They're drunks. They're assholes. Honestly, I can't even believe I'm in this family. Yeah. That's basically it's very. The mother in that movie is much more. I need to talk to you guys.
So talk. Here we are.
Insane, like narcissistic and controlling than my actual mother. My mother's a sweet person.
How did the family take the movie?
Well, the thing about my family is they don't really share much feelings. They don't say much. They saw it. They went to the premiere in Boston, and then they went and saw it again. So they seem to like it, but they don't say much. Like I just did town hall, and they all came, and literally afterwards they don't say, "Great show. That was amazing. We're so proud of you.
Yeah,
that was awesome." They just don't say anything.
Yeah.
They just come and stand there.
Yeah.
And they laugh, and people are like, "Oh, they were laughing," but they don't have it in them to be like, "Great job." They just don't.
And then are you supposed to train them? You know what I mean? Like, what can you do? Because it's not personal.
Yeah, that's what's hard. That's what's difficult about it. And to me, it's like so obvious that if you go to see anybody's show, afterwards you say, "That was awesome."
Yeah,
nice work.
I know, but did you always know that? Like, they still live in, is it Massachusetts? Yeah, like they still live in Mass, and they don't know you're their closest showbiz connect. Like,
right? Yeah, I guess, and I think they just don't. They're not expressive in other ways either.
Yeah,
they don't know how to express themselves, I think. But that's what I was going to say. Is like they always, since I was a kid, they were like they displayed and even said like life is fun on the weekends when you're not working. And then you drink. That's like fun. Like raising kids is hard. And like my mother would always say, like, I did your laundry, I did this, I did that. And so to me, my whole life, having a kid ruins your life. That's what was presented to me. And no one in my family was ever like, oh my God, we had the best time with you guys. My parents to this day, my wife points this out, are never like, we took you guys to Maine and we laughed our ass. That was so fun. I miss you being a kid. There's no photos of me as a child around.
Yeah.
There's no stories of me as a kid. Where then later you meet some people that are like, oh, it was awesome when you were 5.
Yeah.
You used to wear my shoes and we'd laugh. Here's the video. Let's put the video.
Yeah.
And so it was very much in my head that like having a kid ruins your life. It sucks. And then occasionally you go on vacation. That's fun.
And did you? Okay, I sort of sidewinded you, but did you? You didn't want to have kids. You didn't want to. You think for that reason?
Yeah, it just felt like too much responsibility.
But then the therapy and medication and meditation, that all sort of got you more inclined to do it.
Yeah, my therapist was like, it's like the greatest joy in the world. Well, people would always tell me you'd be a great dad because I always loved kids and hanging out with kids. I just didn't want the responsibility. And then my therapist was sort of like, it's like wonderful. He's like, it's the greatest experience in the world. There's nothing that compares to it. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool.
You done Rogan?
So I was like, oh, that's something. And then my friend Dave Walsh, who's a comedian. Did you ever know the Walsh brothers in LA? Yeah. So David, he talked about it and he said like, my wife and I have so many inside jokes together that we don't even try to explain to anybody else because nobody could get this experience we have with our kids. And it's not even worth trying to tell people the story because it's so beautiful. And it just made me like emotional. I was like, oh, I've never heard this perspective on having kids. And it is quite wonderful. And I've also always had like and it's one of my blocks, but like a crippling fear of the end of the world and death. Like when I was younger, like bird flu and climate change and nuclear war, all these things really.
Thank God those are gone.
Yeah, no worries now.
Talk about how good we used to have it.
We nipped those in the bud. But yeah, so I always felt like I was going to die at 27 or 28 or the world would end. And that was like a big fear. The whole fucking world is going to end, which as we're speaking, it's like things are heightening in Russia, China. But I think we'll be okay.
Maybe, I mean, okay, hypothetically, maybe we're not.
Right. Well, that's the thing is like I've come through therapy and a lot of meditation in Eastern philosophy is like I can't control any of that.
Yeah.
And that's quite helpful. But that's what OCD is like. For a long time, I thought I could control that. There won't be nuclear war if I tap on my dick and put my left shoe on first, which I still do.
Right.
My whole life is I have to put my left shoe on first.
You know what's funny is like even people that could control, like Kissinger, couldn't control it.
Right.
He actually how he did his shoes made a difference, and it still didn't make a difference. I mean, I guess we haven't had nuclear war, so
hopefully we.
But like the head of Exxon's doesn't care about like his tie, and he's not flexing.
Right. That's a good point. Well, that's the thing too. It's like, and I used to get like. I would ask everybody, like part of my OCD, and I was just annoying, but like I would ask everybody in the room, like, you think we'll live? We'll probably survive, right? And then strangers, like I would just meet people and be like, do you think we'll die of like a nuclear holocaust? And people were like, what?
Well, I don't think that's indicative of much. Meaning, I understand what you mean by like it's remote, but here's what I want to say. What if the world? I'll put you with your wife and kid. Is it a boy or a girl?
Boy.
For now.
For now,
we're all doing the same bit. Let's say you're with your wife and son, and the world was ending. What would you
think it's going to end?
I don't know. What would you feel? Do you think?
Well, now again. Also, I also had this thing for a long time that I was like gonna get ripped off. Like I didn't get enough. I felt like I was owed a full life and being 85, and I wanted to be on a rocking chair with a cigar.
By the way, if you live till 10 in 2024, you've lived more life than most anyone in human history if they live to 80.
Right.
Like you just experience more shit and more gadgets and more.
Well, that's part of it. Now I feel like I'm like, all right, I've been to like 40 countries, and I've been on TV and I've had some success, and I have a child.
And by the way, didn't really make a difference.
No, not
didn't make a difference to you.
And I liked it.
So you believe that all the stuff you did actually was like you got a lot from it.
Yeah, now I feel like, okay, well, now I've lived more life than most, and I've got to experience a lot of the things. Because I think when I was, 25, I was like, I'm going to die before I get to Ireland. This is crazy,
interesting.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
So now I feel like much more satisfied with my life. Don't get me wrong.
I went to Ireland.
I want to keep living and everything.
Yeah.
But the more you do, the more you feel like, okay, I've gotten a lot out of life. Because that was another thing that fucked with me a lot. Is everyone said like, live life to your fullest. You got to live life to the fullest.
Yeah.
And your kid, like, puts a lot of pressure on you. Because I still have that, and that's part of like my OCD. When I watch a movie, I'm like, wait, should I be watching a movie or should I be reading a book?
Don't play video games. Go outside.
Should I be swimming right now? Should I be running? Should I be fucking watching basketball?
I wonder
or
if people, when books came out, if they were reading, they were like, should I be outside?
I think so, yeah. Well, that was a big thing too. Like when the printing press came out, people were like, we're fucked.
Yeah.
This is going to be a problem. Yeah. Bad news is going to spread, or false news.
Which whatever. It did for like 50 years, apparently.
Is that right?
It was actually bad in terms of misinformation.
Right.
But yeah, no, I'm wondering, like that thing of like, what am I supposed to be doing?
That's a big part of my mental struggles. Is I have this thought that like somewhere there's like a God with like a spreadsheet of exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm doing the wrong thing. No matter what I'm doing, I think I should be doing something else. Except for this podcast, this feels like
come to the right place.
This is kismet right here. This is where I need to be. But no matter like when I'm working out, I'm like I should be reading, and when I'm reading, I'm like I should be watching a film, and when I'm watching a film, I should be watching sports, or when I'm swimming, I should be taking flying lessons, or whatever the fuck, whatever it is.
That describes me completely.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's a comedian's general disposition? Because I feel like it describes a lot of people we know. Well, and do you think that that's what we provide to the world? Meaning like we exist there pretty much all the time and people can kind of come and visit it?
Right.
Like that level of neuroses of like, Bargatze's good at like explaining what it's like to how dumb our brains are.
So one part of your brain is smart and the other part is dumb. You can trick your own brain. That's how dumb the dumb part is.
Right.
Like, and like, I should be, and like people experience that a little bit, whereas we occupy it all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. Because, I mean, some people I hang out with and they're like, they don't have that at all. Like, I got a buddy that I'm like, he's like, oh man, I'm watching such episode of Seinfeld today. And I'm like, I can't believe you can just like at 2 p.m. put on a Seinfeld. Like, I don't watch anything during the day, even with a kid. I especially don't now. But I always felt like I need to be doing something. And this is a funny realization too I had, was that like, I need to be working. I got to work to make it because everyone else is working so hard. And then I would talk to a comic who's way more successful to me. And they're like, have you watched the entire series of Breaking Bad? And I'm like, when did you do that?
Yeah.
And so it's just, and that I think comes from my
like,
mother.
I'm shocked that Bill Burr can fly helicopters. I'm like, when are you flying helicopters?
Yeah, that's what I mean. But people just
like he has so much material,
right?
And like what?
Yeah, I guess people are able to manage their time better, or what do you?
They
call
write
that?
bits quicker or something.
Yeah.
And by the way, you and I write more bits than almost anybody.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean. Like that's the rub. Is like I know you write a lot of bits. I know I write a lot of bits. And I still feel behind.
Yes. I have a hard time recognizing, well, because you can compare to other people.
Yeah.
This person's more successful, this person. But no, I have that. I mean, I just shot my 4th hour in like 5 years.
Yeah.
And I made 2 feature films in that time also. But I still feel like I'm a lazy piece of shit because I feel like those hours and films could have been better because I didn't put a full effort in. It was just good enough.
You watched TV a couple times?
Yeah, exactly. I watched the Seinfeld rerun, and so it could have been a lot better.
And has the Zoloft helped?
Yes, definitely. It's definitely helped, and because I was so reluctant to be on, because I hate, like, I don't want to be a stat, and everyone's on drugs.
What do you mean?
And all these things.
Right.
And then there's people that'll be like, if you just work out enough or get enough sun or eat this. But after a while, I was like, well, I do a lot for my mental health, and I've come an extraordinary distance from being really, really fucked up. But there's still just this little bit left that the medicine
How
with.
fucked up? What was like when you think about how fucked up you were, what do you think of?
Panic attacks. So I have like, panic disorder too. I would have panic attacks. Like I've had a couple different times in my life where I was having like daily or multiple daily panic attacks. And sometimes I hear people say panic attacks in a way that they're like, man, I had a panic attack.
I have OCD, but I just like things to look nice.
Right. Like a panic attack. When I had panic attacks, I mean like literally on the floor, like shaking, like, and couldn't breathe and things were like closed. And that would happen like daily. And I really couldn't get anything done. I couldn't write anything or no new material or whatever. And for a long time, I was self-medicating with alcohol. I was a fucking drunk, just like
all day.
Not every day, all day, but I love day drinking, and there was times where I would drink in the morning, and I would get blackout drunk. I mean, I've sort of famously shit in a girl's shoe one time, and
he's famous for it.
Well, I don't want to say famously, but I've talked about it on multiple podcasts. Yeah. But like, I mean, I fucking defecated in a woman's shoe and fell through a table.
Thanks for cleaning it up.
And I cleaned it up in real life too with a sock. And then I would drive drunk and break shit. I was a big vandal-y guy. I would take street signs and like.
Do you know why you were like that? Without getting too specific, was it all sort of like you liked inducing chaos, or what was it? Anger?
I think I had a lot of anger. I think a lot of it too is like the family stuff. I feel like I wasn't getting recognized by my parents or family or love life or whatever, or also the frustration of not being who I wanted to be. I wanted to be a filmmaker and a comedian and all these things, and I just wasn't able to do it. And so I fucking like hated myself for being in the way of my own success. And I think I would get drunk and be like, and just start breaking things.
How long ago was that?
Almost like 20 years ago now, which is crazy. I feel like I'm old. But yeah, 2004, 5, 6 were like, those were like when I was really having panic and drinking. But I drank till 2012. So
what do you think of it now?
I mean, now I feel good. I feel grateful.
Because that thing about like my talent isn't developed enough to get what I want.
Right.
I think that's frustrating and can be animating. I think it's like it can make you sort of work harder.
I don't know. I felt like, I guess I felt like I was wasting talent, which I still feel that way a lot of the times now. And I look back on like as an athlete, as a kid, like I was good at baseball and basketball, and I ran like cross country, and I could have been so much better. I just didn't believe in myself or have any confidence. Same with comedy and same with relationships. Like I was like, oh, if I had realized, you wish you could just go back and do it all over again, then you have that feeling of course you can't.
Yeah.
But I had no confidence and no guidance. I think I had a lot of anger that my parents or people weren't properly guiding me and being like, that doesn't matter, or you're better than this person, stop comparing yourself.
Do you think that guidance is a thing people can expect in life? Because I sometimes I think that, and I'm like, well, who's going to guide me? I mean, even like I've worked with Chappelle a lot. He never guided me.
Right. Well, a parent, you'd think a parent would help with these things, right? Or coaches or so. I mean, and then some of them tried, I guess, and it's hard because sometimes things just don't get through to you. People say things or try to help you.
I don't think you can guide people. I just think people figure it out or don't.
I suppose so. I mean, I guess I've figured it out to some degree, but I mean, a therapist, but I guess just I would have liked someone to go, you could be really, really successful at this if you applied yourself or believed in yourself. I wish that somebody had more been like, you should believe in yourself as much as I do because you're really, you could be very successful at this.
Have you ever said that to somebody?
Well, I have a son now who I'm very supportive and I'll be much better at that. But yeah, I think at some degrees, my friend, I think I have been like that with my wife all the time. And she just shot another special and that I produced, and I tell her all the time, I'm like, you're better than you realize. Like, like I don't know why you think that you're not this good. I wish you could see yourself the way I do. So I try to do that with people. I think I've helped a lot of people in that way. I
kind of like, I now think of it as kind of unsolicited.
Right.
I don't know what we're supposed to say to people, because we'll call people and then I'm like, I think it's just like a form of codependence, and I'm just a know-it-all and want to insert myself in shit. And
well, I think you can know-it-all. It's telling someone they have the skills if they just believed in themselves is not necessarily a know-it-all.
I think you have to know someone really well to say that, though. And I don't want to say I say it to plenty of people, but even though I said I kind of don't, I don't know. I'm of two minds about it, because you have to really know somebody to know, like, hey, you have to know what they think of themselves.
Right.
And then be like, huh?
But don't you think you can pick up on what people think of themselves sometimes by the work that they do, or in comedy, like their lack of production or writing? I'm like, all those jokes you have that are great, you could do that again. Or
yes, but there are people that seem to be in a trance that's hard to break. It would be impossible for me to break their trance, because they just like their limiting beliefs or all that stuff. But they just, So,
but I think you can try or have to try, because certainly people do have influence on people. I mean, like you see people win Academy Awards and say, my teacher told me I could do anything. I mean, don't you think that's a huge part of a lot of people's success?
I just don't know. I don't think if somebody doesn't do it that you're being deprived of it. Do you know what I mean? Because all the people I know that made it are just sociopaths. So I think you just have to hope you're a sociopath.
Well, I've had that thought many times too, where I'm like, I wish I was successful as this person or this person. Then other people are like, well, I don't think they have your success on a personal level. And I'm like this. Oh, right.
Oh, right.
That's a big part of it. Like I go on like vacation with my family. That's helpful to remember.
Yes. Not your parents, but your wife and kid.
Yeah. And I do go with my parents too.
Oh, great.
They're lovely people.
And so you think that you got, I don't know. This is another one of those like determinist kind of Sam Harris arguments of like, did you come out like this or was this done to you?
I think a lot of it is, my therapist is a big believer in this, and I agree that a lot of it's learned behavior. I mean, you can kind of see like so, a lot of people in comedy that I know, they come from very successful families. And I don't mean that in a way of like, well, if you're rich, you're going to be rich.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean is like, because there's some advantage in having money. I don't think having money necessarily helps you to succeed in comedy or whatever. Because there's some people that are successful and people go, well, their family is this.
It's fucking useless.
It's useless.
Yeah.
But what I mean is the level of, they grew up in a house where their parents were like, you succeed, you work hard, and then you get a raise and you get bumped up and then you get a promotion and you don't sell yourself short. You deserve more. And they see people that are
They modeled behavior.
Yes. Whereas in my family, it's very blue collar and you get a job that pays the bills. And then once you have whatever job, don't rock the boat and just make your small amount of money that allows you to get by. And that's kind of how I was raised. Everyone in my family is plumbers and secretaries and firemen. And you kind of get this, it's not like you put in your work well, but there's not mobile. We're not moving up and fucking demanding of yourself. So I think that I took a very sort of blue collar, get by approach. Like I was always like, I just want to make a living doing comedy. And that's what I did. But I didn't have that thing of like, I want to be on the top. I want to have a show and a movie and play arenas or whatever, where some people did. And I think a lot of that's because they grew up in.
But you wanted to be a filmmaker.
I did.
And you wanted to be a comic.
Yes.
So what do you think the difference is? You just didn't see it as, you didn't blow it out in terms of your dreams?
Well, I think I didn't have the confidence. I mean, I didn't have the confidence to do, like, one of the things I did that I pursued stand-up, it felt like the easiest thing to do, which sounds funny because it's obviously not easy.
No, but I know exactly.
But it's like, I can write something down and go say it.
There's no barrier to entry.
Right, exactly. With a movie, I'm like, if I could spend months on a script and then it becomes nothing. It doesn't even go anywhere. Comedy just felt like, well, I can show up at Chops Lounge and put my name in the thing and talk, and I still feel that way in a lot of ways. So yeah, and even when I did make the movie,
because you still work at Chops Lounge.
Yeah, it's gone now. It's very fancy, but yeah, I just felt like I can't make a movie. No one's gonna let me make a movie. That's crazy.
Well, what's funny is like, did you change? You didn't have to buy it. At what point did you just go, okay, well, I have to not think like that, or did you?
I mean, I still struggle with it. I still feel that way. I still am like, I just did Town Hall and I'm like, I shouldn't be booked here. That's crazy. That doesn't make any sense. That's not who I am. And it ended up being great. And even I made the movie with Louis, but I'm like, well, Louis made the movie. Like he paid for it and directed it. I didn't really.
Somebody always pays for it.
Right. That's a good point. And then now I just made another movie. I made a documentary about my friend, Tom Dustin, which is called Portrait of a Comedian. I'd love to send it to you, by the way.
Great,
I think
please
you'd
do.
love it. And even that felt like, well, I'm making a movie, but it's just like a 3-person crew documentary about my friend. That's not hard to do.
Yeah.
And I can't even, people really love it. And
I understand the discounting, like, well, it's just me. Like,
right.
I should, Seinfeld said he's not a comedian. He's a writer. Like,
you should just be a writer. You're obviously just a writer who is performing these things.
You think that?
Well, the negative voice.
That never goes away, I don't think.
Right.
You just have to ignore it.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the unsolicited advice you've been looking for. Ignore yourself.
Yeah, no, and I've gotten better at that. But don't you think better advice is not ignore your thoughts maybe, or take them in, let your thoughts come in, but don't serve them tea, as the old saying. But also it's like, actually pay closer attention to yourself, because then I would realize I'm putting out specials and making films. Like if I was more focused on what I'm doing.
It's completely divorced from reality.
Right.
You did Town Hall.
Yeah.
Like, that's not... What are you worried about? Like, what are you mad at? What didn't you do? You can't. I got to a point where I was like, okay, the voices in my head are losing credibility.
Right.
It gets further and further from reality where you're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Like, this is stupid.
Yeah, no. And that's the thing that's really helped me is to realize I'm like, oh, I am doing it.
Yeah.
I did do the thing. And then I realized I'm like, oh, I've done all the goals that I did set for myself. I just didn't set bigger goals.
I've had that as well, where it's like, be careful what you wish for, you might get it. But it's
right.
like, you could have gotten more
right.
if you'd wished for more. But it's also like, who thinks, I mean, as much as I say that everybody who succeeds are sociopaths, I also think there are plenty of people who succeeded far beyond what they thought. You know? Like, I don't think Bargatze thought he was going to do arenas. Even at his drunkest and angriest.
No, I mean, I don't know that he thought, but he was aiming high. Like, he was one of those guys. I remember me, Nate, and Louis Katz were in Kuwait together doing a USO thing. And we were talking, I won't say the comedian, but we were talking about a specific comedian. And I thought this was really interesting was that, like, Nate was like, imagine having that career. That would be terrible. And I was like, what are you, crazy? I'm like, I would kill for that career. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he thought I was insane for like thinking that was a decent career. And it does show like the approach, like that was a person just making a living doing comedy. And I'm like, that guy works at the Cellar.
Yeah.
Like he's hilarious. Everybody respects him. He makes a living and he's at the Cellar. How could that not be success? And Nate was like, if I would shoot myself in the face if I was his age. And we both got to that level of success. Yeah. I became like, a comic making a decent living. Now I'm making a very nice living, but a pretty good living and working at the Cellar, being like, I did it. And Nate went on to be, it's huge.
Yeah. So maybe I'm wrong. I'm not going to say Nate wasn't ambitious, but I'm saying.
I don't know that he thought.
I know people, I don't think people didn't do arenas 10 years ago.
No, it's crazy.
That is beyond.
No, I remember thinking that when I saw it, Nate was like at Bridgestone. He's like, this is a dream come true. And I remember thinking like, when did you dream about doing Bridgestone Arena? That's insane.
Yeah, he just wanted Bridgestone to have an arena. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Hey, what are some of your relationship green flags? We often hear about the red flags we should avoid, but what if we focus more on looking for green flags in friends and partners? If you're not sure what they look like, therapy can help you identify green flags, actively practice them in your relationships, and embody the green flag energy yourself. I could have used this ad most of my adult life because I still wasn't, I was in, whatever, long story. This is something I've been talking about in therapy. I say I wish I had had this ad. I was already in therapy, so like I was living it. This has been my big thing is asking for reciprocity and what I need in relationships. And through therapy, I finally got like the confidence and wherewithal. And the thing about therapy is you set a standard for yourself and then you feel like a failure when you don't reach it, which I think is a good system. Therapy helps everyone. I'm telling you, try BetterHelp. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. Access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. Easily switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. Here's the call to action. Well, keeping me sane, here's the call to action. In fact, keeping me sane in here. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/NEAL today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/NEAL. 10% off your first month. Do it. BetterHelp.com. Hey, you ever have sex before? I don't think women realize it's like a little stressful for men. They get to kind of be passive and we have to be active. Like if we're not active, it doesn't happen. And part of being active is you need a reliable erection. Who knows? You probably will get a reliable one. You might not though. So, you want to be smart? You get with Hims. Hims provides access to treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch or your bed or your just a regular chair or your car. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you for free. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/NEAL. That's Hims, HIMS.com/NEAL for your personalized ED treatment options. Hims.com/NEAL. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Hims.com/NEAL. Get hard. Think about me when you do it. You ever wear jeans before? You ever wear the perfect jean? I have. They're jean, but now all these fabrics got like a little something extra, a little stretch, which is I think fantastic. It just fit well. It was stretchy, which I like. I'm still on some skinny guy stuff. I guess I always wear, and I guess I don't always wear, but I'm skinny, and why not show it off a little bit? Why can't I show my body? It didn't sag around the midsection, which is like up here. It's like tight, and then a lot of times with those kinds of jeans, then they get too bulky. Mine didn't. You can bend down. A lot of times skinny jeans, you can't really move. With these, you can because they're stretchy. I like the price. I'm a cheaper man. The people want $300 for jeans, $150. How about $79.99? Huh? You like that? Get the jean. For a limited time, our listeners get 15% off their first order plus free shipping at theperfectjean.nyc or Google The Perfect Jean and use code NEAL15 for 15% off. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectjean.nyc with promo code NEAL15. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, and please support our show and tell them we sent you, even though they should figure it out from the fact that you use promo code NEAL. Probably not an accident. Fuck your khakis and get theperfectjean.nyc. Alcoholism.
Yeah.
What was the bottom?
Well, shitting in a girl's shoe
Sure.
and then fly. I mean, that story, I was going to do the Seattle comedy competition, which is a month long. And I was leaving the next day for a month, and I went out and fucking blacked out and was like basically on a date with a girl. I was trying to like kind of hook up with this girl, and I ended up shitting in her shoe and falling through her living room table and pissing on her rug, and then missed my flight and had to fly across the country with like shit on my leg. It was really, really bad. And that was
Do you remember your blackout?
I don't remember the shitting in her shoe, but I remember the next morning and stuff. And that was
when you came to, what did you think was happening?
When I first came to, the first thing that happened was I had to piss so bad. And I was like, I literally had this thought of like, I got to piss because if I piss, I'm going to piss my pants and that's going to be really embarrassing. And then
You're at the girl's house?
Yes. And nobody was home. It was like 10 in the morning. That's how hard we were, like they were gone. They had gone to work.
Yeah.
And I remember like urinating for like 8 minutes. It was like one of those pisses and being like, I don't know where anything is. I kind of remember going back to their house. And I was drinking with Nate that night, ironically. And then I came back into the bedroom that I'd been sleeping in, and I saw like footprints of shit, and like their living room table had been like Chris Farley'd. It was all fucking like broken. And I remember having the thought like, that was definitely me. I had this feeling of like something went wrong, and it's me for sure.
Yeah.
And then there was like a shit
I
in
know
there.
this.
There was like a shit in her sneaker, and there was a big piss stain. And yeah, it was bad. I mean, I wanted to kill myself. I was like, this is horrible.
You're doing a pilot called CSI Blackout, where it's where you come to and you have to figure out who did this, and it's always you.
That's not bad.
No, it's not a bad idea.
That's a good idea. But yeah, it was bad. And I remember, I mean, the really funny thing that happened was I texted the girls, and because it was 2 girls that lived together, and I was like, I'm so sorry, I want to kill myself, this is horrible. And they were like, don't worry, it's fine, we think it's funny. And I remember thinking, like, these girls fucking party, that's crazy. And then I flew to Seattle, my phone was on like airplane mode. When I landed, it was now nighttime in New York, and they were like, oh my God, we had no idea how bad this was.
This is not
and
cool.
I was like, that's more like it. So that was like a bottom, but that night, I thought like, well, I'm not going to stop drinking, so I might as well drink tonight. So I kept drinking for like another 2 years. But after that, I felt like this is truly out of control.
That was like, this should be my bottom.
Yeah, it should have been.
Like, I definitely need to quit. You did like the 25th hour, but it was 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm on my way out, but.
Well, from then on, it was like, let me try to curb and I would try to like count drink. And I talked to a friend who happens to be a comedian and alcoholic in recovery. And he said, well, why don't you try to see if you can keep it to 6 or less, which is a lot of drinks.
Yeah.
Like some would say if you drank 6 drinks a night, you're an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, 6, so that's not bad. And then I would write in the calendar 5, I had 4 tonight, and then I still couldn't do that. I was like, oh shit, I went to 8 tonight, and then I would try.
And it was just you couldn't get enough.
Yeah, well, you'd go out and it would be like this person's drinking. You know how it is. I have the night off, so I'll drink, or I got a show, so I'll drink, and then it's free drinks on the road. And then I was opening for DePaulo at that time, and Nick was like, you're part of his. I'm not blaming Nick. I love Nick, but he would be like, dude, he's like, you're a fucking real comic. You're always boozing. It's hilarious. And I'd be like, yeah, that's. And I had that romanticism of alcohol, like Tom Waits and
Bukowski,
you know. And I thought there was something.
It's like by the way, it's like the least impressive thing in the world to me. It's like I get drunk and do a thing. Like, oh, cool. Like golf.
Right. No, I literally had like that feeling of like I'm this tortured artist thing, and then you realize it's like, oh, it just sucks. I'm just failing.
Yeah.
I suck.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the thing well. But anyway, so then it just kept going on, and then my actual like last time, or one of the last times drinking, it was 2012. It was I got sober right after Christmas, and I was like really looking forward to going home for Christmas, and I was like, this will be great. I'll get a break, and
I'll go home. No one will recognize me for who I am. I can't wait.
And then I went, and like every Christmas gift I got was booze. Like 100% of the things I got were booze. And so I was like, oh, this is like my personality. This is like who I am now, is I'm the drunk guy. And then my brother-in-law, his father had just died, and I was like making jokes about it. I was like, yeah, well, you're dead dad, thinking that was like, I was like that guy. And he was like, what are you doing? This like sucks. And I remember him looking like really upset, and I was like, I hate myself. I'm horrible.
Were you drunk when doing it?
Yeah. I was like,
that's
funny.
Got it. I got a good idea for a bit.
Yeah, well, I thought like, oh, that's edgy and fun.
Yeah.
And so I just had like a misunderstanding of like what was like cool or whatever. And so yeah, that was it. And I opened for Gary Gulman New Year's Eve week in Philadelphia, and I was talking to him, and he's not a sober guy, but he doesn't really drink. And he was like, I remember thinking I was like, I should get sober, and he was kind of guiding me. And I was like, what happens though? Wait, hold on. I'm like, what if I'm at a party and like I hate everybody there? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, not drink? And then he was like, you go home.
Yeah.
And it was like a moment of clarity of like, oh right, I don't have to just be in places I don't like people. I was like, that's good. And so yeah, I just like,
let me write this down.
I was like, I'm gonna get sober, and then that was it. So that like all the success I've had in comedy has come after that.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah, it's the idea of getting drunk and doing something is like the goofiest fucking thing.
Well, you realize, most really successful comedians don't drink. There's very few.
Yeah. There's a few, but not. Yeah. This is first on the show, Herpes.
Yeah, is that a block? I don't know.
I mean, like you tell me.
That was another. I don't know how much it's blocking my creativity. But that was another sort of low, and another thing of like, what the fuck am I doing? Because I had sex with a woman who was like, I have herpes, and I was like, I don't care. Which, looking back, I was just a nice guy. I was accepting, you know.
Yeah. Who needs boundaries?
But at the time too, I was such a drunk that my immune system was all fucked up. So I had like the worst outbreak. It was like a month long. It was really horrible, and like I had to like stay home, and it was really bad. Yeah, it was insane.
Why'd you have to stay home?
Because like walking was like physically painful. It was really, really bad. It was like, it was all over and like open sores.
Did you call the woman? What do you do?
No, I don't know which. It's possibly two different women I may have got.
I love it.
Well, one woman was like, I have herpes, and we had sex, but I didn't have an outbreak for like 4 months, and then I was kind of hooked up with this other girl at that time when I did have the outbreak. So it's possible it was like dormant for all those months, and it's possible I got it from this other girl who I did call her, and I was like, do you have herpes by any chance? Because I just realized I have herpes, and she was like, no, I don't have herpes. And to my knowledge, she'd never had an outbreak, but we don't.
So it was probably from the other lady.
I think so. But yeah, it was really fucking gnarly. It was bad. And again, I think because I was drinking through it, and I didn't have medicine. I didn't have health insurance at the time, so I didn't go anywhere to take anything. And I was like, I guess I'll just ride it out.
Oh, you didn't do anything?
No, I mean, I went to a doctor, and then she gave me like some free, like I went to like this STD clinic, and she gave me like 4 Valtrex pills, because that's like what they're allowed to give out for free, I guess. So that like helped to some degree, but it just got worse again. Then
is that a thing that you have to then like announce?
Yeah, I only had to announce it a couple times because I didn't have that much sex, but I said it. I had sex with one. Well, almost
announce.
2 women.
It sounds like there's a public address.
Yeah, like ladies and gentlemen, now batting. No, I hooked up with one girl, and we were in bed. We were about to hook up, and I was like, just so you know, I have herpes, and she was really mean. She was like, oh, that's disgusting. That's horrible. Which I always was frustrated by, because I'm like, well, you're like me being a considerate person away from having it. Like everything you're doing is how you get herpes.
Yeah.
We're in bed together. And then another woman I told, and she
You're
said,
discouraging honesty.
Yeah, exactly.
You're discouraging me being forthcoming. Yeah.
Right, and it'll just spread more. And then I hooked
and I agree. You know what I mean? Like, and she's not wrong. It's nobody wants it.
It's not great.
Right. So like I get it, but yeah, it's a tough situation.
And then another woman I told, and she said, well, it's not ideal, but it's okay. And then that was that. And then after that was my wife, who I had announced it because did you ever hear about the Laker Awards? There's like in Brooklyn.
No.
It was like 2010. It all goes back to Nate. Nate and Giannis had a podcast with Chris Laker, who's very funny, and they did like a fake award show called the Laker Awards.
Great.
And this is the same year I'd shit in the girl's shoe, and the award I got was the gentleman's gentleman for being the nicest guy and shitting in it, whatever it was. It was very silly. And I thought this would be funny. I'll go on stage and say, this has been a tough year. I got herpes, but this makes it all worth it. And I thought it would kill, and it just bombed. Like nobody, people were like, oh God. It was a different time. And then I came off stage.
No, I don't think that's ever going to kill.
Well, I think now people are more
open. I may cut
open.
it from the podcast.
Please. And then I came backstage. I went, not backstage, but I went to the back of the room, and my now wife, who was just a comic, my friend at the time, was like, I think it's great that you said that. And I thought, oh, she's got herpes. I'll try to pursue her. And it turns out she actually was just a nice
You asked her to marry you on the spot.
I was like, yes, please. But it turns out she was just a nice human. But anyways, so then she had already, eventually we hooked up, but she had already known that I had herpes. So I only had to tell 3 people. One hated me and didn't have sex with me, and then the other one was like fine, and the other one was just cool.
Great. And now you'll be telling between 100,000 and 1 million, depending on your level of fame.
Probably closer to 100,000. If Netflix would fucking get back to me.
Fuck.
Might be 1 million.
And what do you think of herpes looking like? You just like,
Yeah, now I don't, that was actually good. And this is where I've always had some amount of sort of stoicism, Eastern philosophy in my life at some point, is I thought, well, I have it. I can't do anything about it.
It is a good, it's like immersion therapy for the worst case scenario. Like, okay, you live in fear, and then it comes proving that nothing's as bad as you think it's going to be.
Yeah, you're kind of like, all right, I guess I have that. And it's not ideal, but now I do well enough, and I have health insurance. So I have Valtrex, so if I feel something coming on, I take it, and it's quite a drug. It kicks its ass pretty much right away. And I've had it for longer, so I think your immune system's used to it. And my wife has never gotten, she may have herpes, but it's dormant. She's never had an outbreak.
Yeah.
I've been having sex for a long time. So it's not that bad. It's not great.
It's not like a death. It's not. Yeah.
No, the first outbreak was really horrendous. But again, if I wasn't drinking and then slept properly and took Valtrex, it wouldn't have been nearly as bad. So it's not the worst.
Tinnitus or tinnitus. What do you call it?
I call it tinnitus. I had a bit about this. Yeah, it is tinnitus.
Yeah.
Because it's not a...
By the way, the Himalayas are the Himalayas.
Is that right?
Yes.
No kidding.
Yes. Learned that in the last month and then looked it up 2 days ago. The Himalayas.
Oh, I'll never remember that. Kind of like Somalia. That's how I'll try to remember.
Yeah, there you go. That would be a thing that I would feel very sorry for myself about.
Yeah, it's another thing I've sort of just accepted, and you kind of just go, all right, I guess I'm dealing with this. And you kind of get used to it. It's not bad if I'm in a room like this, we're talking during conversation and stuff like that, but I can't be like inside. I have to sleep with a sleep machine, and it sucks.
What does that mean? White noise machine?
Like a white noise machine. Yeah, sleep machine is not the right term. A white noise machine is what I meant. And I have to have like the on all the time, which is funny because my baby has that too. So we're just two buddies with noisemakers in the bed. But yeah,
what does that do? Well, what is for people that don't know what tinnitus is? What is it?
It's just a constant ringing in my ears. I mean, if I focus on it, I can hear it now, and it's unpleasant.
But it's not meaning so you can tune it out, so to speak.
Yeah, and if there's other noise in the room, if people are like kind of socializing, you're not noticing it because I can kind of focus on your voice and my own voice. But like, there's no like I'm a big meditator, but I have to have this like the meditation app I use it's actually Sam Harris's meditation app, who's a fellow tinnitus sufferer. But there's like a thing you can have like birds chirping, which helps because if it's just dead silence, it makes me like crazy. I can really get stuck and looped into it because it sounds like all the time.
Where did it come from?
I don't know. I think stress makes it worse, and it was during like a really stressed out, anxious period of my life that I started noticing it. And of course, at that time, I had like horrible what's that thing where you think you have stuff all the time? Hypochondria. Which is another one that I left off there. But so I thought I was going deaf, and at different times in my life, I thought I was going blind and deaf.
Blind?
Yeah, because when you're a kid, my eyesight started to go, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm losing my eyesight, which isn't crazy to me to think as like a 12-year-old. You suddenly can't see as well. And I'm like, I'm only 12. Old people lose their eyesight, but
but if I do the math on this thing.
Yeah, I'm like, if it keeps degenerating, like by 30, I'll be a fucking blind person. That's not crazy. I mean, it is crazy, but it didn't seem crazy. But anyways, all of a sudden my ears just started ringing, and I would do this thing where I would ask everybody, I'm like, do you hear ringing? Do you hear ringing? And I just drove people fucking crazy.
And this is at what age?
This was like when I was 35 or something like that.
All right. So it started around when you were 35.
Yeah, I think so.
How long did it take before you Googled it?
Oh, right away. I was a big Googler. I always was like, that was one of my things my therapist said. He's like, you have to stop.
It's the top search engine.
Yeah.
I get it.
He's like, you got to stop looking things up.
Yeah.
I would always be looking shit up. And is this cancer? Is that cancer? Yeah. And
am I cancer?
But yeah, and then so I went to had hearing tests and all these things, and I'm like, I have fucking brain tumor and all that stuff, and then people are just like, yeah, it's just ringing. And then you kind of find, that's what the internet is great, is you can kind of find forums and articles of like, oh, other people deal with it. That's all you want in life is someone else to be like, oh, I have that.
Well, that's what I was going to say about the end of the world. At least everyone's getting ripped off.
Right.
Like there is something like, okay, as long as we're all suffering the same amount.
But part of it is too, I think a lot of this goes back to feeling unrecognized by family and stuff, and later like the industry. It all comes back to family and upbringing. But there's something about dying with everybody that I'm like, but I want to die where everyone stands over me and goes, remember he said that? That was really, oh shit, that was really brilliant. That was amazing. Because that's how I feel like that's the only time I'll get the praise I need from family and friends and loved ones is when I'm dying.
Who's had a good death to you? I mean that, I'm asking myself that as well. I'm talking about funeral, like cultural grief.
Well, I mean, like, you ever see
Mandela?
the movie, you ever see Big Fish, the film Big Fish?
Yes.
Tim Burton's?
People like Big Fish. I'm not a big fan.
I mean, whatever you think about the movie, like, it's like this guy that lived his life and he has this fantasy of dying and they carry him to the river and everyone he's ever known is there and they're all clapping for him. And,
it's the end of the movie,
and doing this, So, like, that's how I feel. I want to be on a deathbed and everyone's coming in and going, you're number one. We forgot to tell you, you're the greatest, you're the biggest influence, that kind of thing. You want the rocking chair and everyone comes to visit you and, you go, you did well, son. And somehow in my death fantasy, my parents are there, which would be a great tragedy.
Makes no sense.
Parents were there. But, I don't know. You just always, and the ironic thing about it is then when people do praise me or say, "Oh, that was great," I go,
get away.
Hear that?
Yeah.
Like when I went to Iraq, my father like texted me and was like, "Good luck, and I'm proud of you." And I was like, "Oh, what the fuck are you doing, dude?"
For a USO show?
Yeah, I'm just like, come on, man. I don't. Wow, it was still the war was still going on.
No, it was still raging.
I could have died.
You were in danger. But okay. Well, all right. If that's the great one, that's the right with the Big Fish funeral. What's your worst case scenario?
Oh boy, I don't know. Worst case scenario is, I guess dying alone. Like you're
okay, but even dying alone, I always think I'm kind of a loner. I think people over. It's like it's like going to a restaurant. You have a great dinner, but the dessert is like,
Right.
Is it like fuck the whole dinner? Or is it just because the dessert wasn't what you wanted? If you follow my metaphor. Like, so the last 5 minutes of an 80-year life.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you'll be in it too. You'll be going, but I guess when I think dying alone, I mean, like, I'm like drowning. I'm like, help me, somebody help.
No. Yeah, you want to, obviously like eaten, shot, something, even though shot, if you don't see it coming, whatever.
Well, I've always thought about killing myself too. I mean, I think about it all the time, but like, that seems like a nice way to be like, this is the time. I'll write a letter, a note, and then, good night.
You like the sort of self-determination.
Control. I want control, I guess. A lot of this is just about control. And that's what goes back to OCD and panic. So all these things. It's just about control and the fear of things you can't control.
Yeah.
And that's why I like stand-up. It feels like ultimately you're like, I'm controlling this whole thing.
All right. I think we kind of covered this, but crippling fear of death.
Yeah, we kind of got into that. Which doesn't exist for me much anymore. But yeah, for years, it was really, really bad. I was completely obsessed.
What do you think? You talked about your, I don't know if you call it spirituality, meditating. What do you think that meditating is a good sort of brain cleanser? Or do you think that do you get into like the spirituality of it?
Yeah, I think both. I mean, I get really into the spirituality of it and philosophy kind of stuff, and I read a lot of Stoicism and then sort of sobriety literature. They're all sort of connected. They're all very similar.
What do you make of what do you think? What did you think was going to happen after you die, and what do you think now?
I thought nothingness then and now, which is disappointing. But I mean, I don't know. But like, I feel like I've always felt like, ever since I was a kid, like death is just like it was before life, but before life, you feel like you were part of it because you have a sense of history. I wasn't around in 1975, but I know the Reds beat the Red Sox in the World Series in 7 games, and One Flew the Cuckoo's Nest won Best Picture. So I feel like and I've seen both of those things. So it feels like I was part of that, but I wasn't.
Right.
But the future, there is no, I can't watch the 2056 Best Picture, so I'm like, oh no, like there's going to be these things happening that I won't be part of.
It's a TikTok, just FYI.
Right. That's really funny.
What do you? But you know what I mean? Like, okay, so that's the thing is you don't, because you can't see it. You think it's all Earth.
Yeah. Well, I think too, because the other thing about death when you're a kid is there's just permanent nothingness. So I sort of pictured myself in this vast nothingness, but that's not nothingness.
Yeah.
That would be something, and that would be quite depressing if I was just in black with no sound or visual or whatever. But it's not even that. There's no consciousness, so there won't be anything. But the idea of I really like life. I enjoy living. I enjoy the colors and the sounds and the ocean and baseball. Yeah. So the idea of being robbed of that is like, that sucks. I don't want that. And so I think that was a big part of it. But now I sort of go, I can't control any of that, and it's inevitable. And
you're not being robbed.
Right, exactly. Yes, I live.
Like, I ate my dinner, and then they take the plate, and you're like, you have robbed me of my dinner.
Well, and also you're like, I've lived a better life than almost anybody in the history of planet Earth, and it's a miracle that I'm even here. It doesn't make any sense that I'm here, and it's wonderful, and I've met all these great people, and it's been a beautiful life. And many people are born into countries that they're just immediately imprisoned or whatever it is. So I'm like one of the luckiest people ever on earth. So thinking about all those things has helped. And what we were talking about earlier is that, like, I will be dead, and now I'm not. So I should really have a nice day here. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I have a son, and I'm making money for, like, talking about, dicks.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. A lot of money. It's wonderful.
How much?
Not as much as you.
We both did town hall. I'm sure we made about the same money.
Okay, yeah, maybe. Hopefully. Maybe.
Write it down. All right. Well, it was great talking to you, man.
Yeah, this is a blast.
It was. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. I really did.
I think what you're saying is, like, you just have more gratitude, if I could simplify it.
I put a little gratitude in my attitude, as they say.
Write it down, folks. That one's for free. Joe List.
Thanks, everybody. Netflix.